for you in the professional writing. And in the first two, we did cover on email writing. I think by now the recordings and everything should be up. So people who wish to take a look at what has happened, and um, if you wish to revise on all of those things, all those recordings are up, right? So in that series, this is the third session that we're going to do. So today and tomorrow we'll be working on these two, right? So we'll be doing session today as well as tomorrow. Um, so um, for this session, we are going to be looking at the report writing, right? So just like we did it for email writing, we are going to be doing it in the similar fashion. The structure or the pattern for it is going to remain the same, which means I'm going to discuss a few things with you. So this is more like a hands-on experience on how to write these things rather than a tutorial. So tutorials will have um, many more segments to it. But since we are mostly doing this for a 2 hour session, we do not include a lot of that part in this as we do it in a physical classroom. So, how we're going to manage this is I'm going to be introducing you to some of the aspects of report writing, show you a few examples. We take some particular uh, elements that are important or some of those things that you need to keep in mind while you're writing reports. We'll take look at what they are, then examples of the same, and then as we did in the previous session, we'll go to the interactive slides, which is your peer deck slides, and then solve a few questions there. So, like you did for the last session, again you will be writing uh, first in snippets on some parts of it, and then eventually the whole of the report. Right. So don't get scared. Don't be like, okay, how do I write like a whole new report, right? We are only going to deal with the smaller reports, right? We're only going to be writing the formal reports, which would be somewhere between 120 to 140 words, not more than 200 for sure. So you will have enough time to think and then compile whatever you want the set in the time that we have. So don't bother with the length of the report at all. So this is going to be more or less how we are going to function. And um, we have 2 hour sessions for both the days. So if we can end it a little earlier than the slotted time, it would be nice. If you're taking more time, what I'll do is that instead of sitting with you until 7:30, I'll leave that particular deck session open for you, which means you can continue writing even if I log off from the meeting, right? So that will be open to you. So I'm not going to close the peer deck slides, that they'll be available to you. All you will have to do is that you'll have to ensure that the link that I share with you for the peer deck slides, you'll have to save it somewhere, right? You'll have to copy it down somewhere, and so that you can access that deck again. I'll leave it in the student mode so that it is accessible even after the meeting is over. Okay, so that is that. Just give me a moment. I'll share the slides shortly so that we can start discussing. Just confirm with me once you're able to see the slides.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Yeah.
visible.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, I don't think we need like a very detailed discussion or a detailed introduction to what reports are or what report writing means. All of us at some point in our life would have written or compiled reports, right? But what we are going to do is we are going to look at it very look at the salient features, right? So what are those important segments that make up the report? That is what we are going to discuss for our session, and also looking at the techniques of how to write them down, right? So how is this particular write-up, say the report, different from all the other kinds of professional write-ups that we do? Like, for example, we already discussed emails. And since we've discussed emails, we should also understand what we mean by formal writing, formal letters, right? So because formal letters and emails, they look more or less the same. Uh, of course, one is written in the electronic medium and it has a few features that we discussed. But if you look at the function and the purpose of both formal letters and formal emails, they're more or less the same. There's no much of a difference between both of them. But report writing is a little different, right? In the sense that it's more of a correspondence. It involves more investigations, more examinations, um, requires more critical reading before you compile a report, right? It requires some work. You need to collect some good amount of data before you can write down the report, right? So besides the linguistic features or other structural features, um, report writing content wise is more dense, right? It has way more content that needs to be delivered than say your professional email or your formal letter. So that way, this is a more serious form of a professional writer, right? So most of the reports that you write, no matter what kind of reports they are, we'll also look at the kinds of reports shortly. But irrespective of whatever type they are, whatever kind they are, all reports basically do one thing. That is, they set out to analyze a problem or a situation. Right? So you have a problem statement. So most of your reports that you write, all of them will carry a problem statement, and then it will also propose a solution to the problem that is proposed. Right? A problem statement that is proposed. So all of them, by default, no matter what their type is and kind is, they will have a problem statement, and it's also going to propose a solution for the given problem statement, right? So any report is going to take up a problem, analyze it, and present a solution for it. So this is the nature of all reports. Some reports, right? Again, this is the second point that you see, that it makes recommendations for future actions. This is not a compulsory in all kind of reports. For example, if you're writing, say, a newspaper report, right? Editorial report. So in that, you're not going to supply any recommendations or suggestions, right? You're just going to report the matter of fact or the turn of events. But that is not the kind of report that we are concerned with in professional writing. We are mostly looking at the ones which is a problem solution kind, right? So all this problem solution kind of reports, they also have another feature, which is the feature of providing recommendations and suggestions. So no formal reports, official reports are complete, right? They are not considered complete unless you can provide recommendations and solutions and suggestions for the problem that you have highlighted in the report, right? So, first thing is problem statement, second thing is proposed solution, third thing is recommendations, right? So, all these 3 points, they're all salient features of all official formal reports that are written professionally, right? Now, because of this nature, because of the kind of things that it explores, that is the problem statement and the solution and the recommendation, sometimes the reports, official reports or formal reports, are also referred to as factual papers, right? Reason being simple, because this is not a simple document. This is a document that is presented after much investigation, study, and some kind of research and analysis on it. Hence, they are like I mentioned, that they're more like a scientific document, right? It's not like any random paper. This is something that is many companies, corporates, and many people, they would use this as a record for their future references. So most of the reports that you write in professional domains, they're filed, they're documented. They're not just random papers that it's not like a letter which you can, uh, um, you can shred and throw away. This is something that carries the proceedings of how a certain work was built, how a certain industry was created, how a certain machine was purchased in a company, how a certain rule was instated in that company. So it acts as a record, and it acts as a document for future references. In case there is a revision required in the policy, or there's some change that you require uh, to make to the equipment's purchase, so on and so forth, right? The purpose could be anything, but then the point is that all of them, in all such cases, this particular piece of writing will serve, or it will act as a uh, as a as a as a proof or evidence to the work that has been done, right? So it's in that sense a factual paper. In that sense, it's a scientific document that is preserved. Okay. The form and content, the last point, the form and content of the report varies between organizations and reports. It is true, obviously. So the kind of reports or the documents that are generated in an industry, right, versus something that is generated at a corporate or an academic organization, they'll all be different in its nature, right? So even a report that is written at the police station, right? All of us are aware of something called the FIR, right? What is FIR? It is the first investigation report. That is the full form of FIR. So even that is a report. But the way an FIR is written versus how an industrial feasibility report is written versus how a full-length case study report is written, they're all different in its structure. So based on the departments and the organizations and the problems that you are looking at, that you're trying to solve, the form and the content, right, of the report will definitely be different from each other, right? So, um, given all this, now what are the basic elements of a report? If we understand that much about a report, let's look at what are the elements that you can for sure see in a report, right? So the first point would be a description of a sequence of events or a situation. This is called problem statement analysis, right? So you give the problem statement and then you also provide the background settings and the analysis of what is at hand. So this description of the event or situation or the problem at hand is a must in all report, right? Second thing, carefully referenced. Now, if it is a scientific document, if we claim this to be a scientific document, if we claim that this is based on studies, then what are these studies, right? I need to have access to what are the studies on which you have based your report. So if I want to make a claim of this as a scientific document, any scientific doc, like in the case of any other scientific document, like a research paper or a journal paper, a report also has to be carefully referenced. It needs to have a referencing index for each of the work or the chart or the graph or a newspaper report or a book or an article or another case study, another reports that you have referred to compile this particular report, right? Your reference section will have to have a exhaustive list of all the resources that you have used to compile the study that you have conducted in the report, right? Then third thing is evaluation of facts and results of the research. So if your report is, say, um, if your report, the report that you write is a result of a longitudinal study, okay, a study that has happened for say a couple of years. So to give you an example, our government, right, the government of India or even the various state governments, they conduct several studies, right, in several areas. So there are people who work on, say, um, water quality, or there are people who work on pollution, right, air pollution. There are people who will work on air traffic control, right, or there'll be people who will be working on nutrition or malnutrition in the rural areas of India, or development of health index among mother and child in India, right? So several things, right? Several things that are related to socio-economic and cultural factors of the country. Um, all of these kind of reports, these are longitudinal reports. What do we mean by longitudinal reports? These are based on longitudinal studies. So whatever you present in such a report is based on studies that have happened for a long time, right? Probably for over years. So that report is a culmination of the study of studies that have happened for a long period. And because of that, these reports are not, they're not your ordinary 200, 250 or 4 to 5 page report. These are reports that can run into volumes, right? There the report can be almost like a book length, or sometimes more than a book, volume 1 to 3, right? So the reports that are presented as a part of longitudinal studies like this, they're usually very huge, right? So in such kind of reports, then there is a lot of data, right? So data, like if you're working in say water quality management, then you will have data from all over India, which would be bulk data, right? So all of them, you cannot take it in one go and analyze it in one go. So you decide to publish the results from, say, northern region, including states ABC in one volume, then maybe say states uh, EFG from the southern part, and so on and so forth. So most of it happens in you know in different volumes, right? In that kind of reports, what happens, discussion of the facts, the data that you have collected and the results based on them is very important. Feasibility report or something like a first investigation report, they will not carry facts and results analysis. But any report that is based on a longitudinal study certainly has to have a section on the discussion of the results and the data that you have analyzed. So data analysis and discussion becomes a major part of that kind of reports, right? The bigger ones, the one which are based on long studies. Fourth point, discussion of likely outcomes of future course of action. Again, this is something that is common to both the long reports as well as the short reports, right? Even if your report is, say, just a few pages long, in that kind of reports, something like, feasibility report, both that feasibility report as well as your reports based on longitudinal studies, both of them are going to have this section. That is a discussion of the outcomes of future course of action. But the third point, evaluation of facts and results, this particular thing is detailed in your longitudinal reports, bigger reports, voluminous reports. Recommendations to a course of action, again, this is something that is common to both short and long reports. Okay. Conclusions, again, this is another element that is common to both your short and long reports. Okay. So out of all the 6 points that you see here, only the third one, which is evaluation of facts and results of the research, is more deeper and lengthier in studies that are based on, um, uh, longitudinal studies, right? Sorry, reports that are based on longitudinal studies, something that says spans over it. Okay. So that's on the different elements. So what are the elements? First of all, description of the sequence of events, then referencing. Third is the evaluation of facts and results. Fourth is the discussion of the likely outcomes and the future course. Then recommendations to the future course of action and conclusions, right? All these 6 parts needs to be very carefully written in. This you need to have a checkbox of these 6 features, 6 elements. And whenever you're writing a report, you have to ensure that all of this is covered in that report. Okay. Only in the case of the longer report, the third point will have to be a little more elaborated. If it's a very short report, probably you skip that part and you maybe just say that in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay. Then the next important thing that we need to keep in mind when we're discussing report writing is the language that we use in reports. So when we were looking at um, email writing, we did the same thing for that as well, right? So we looked at what is the kind of language that is approved to be used in email writing, right? We did see some of them. Similarly, for report writing, again, we have a set of linguistic features that we need to keep in mind when we write a report. The first in that is uh, no use of contractions. That is, what are contractive forms? Forms like this. Just look at your chat. We are, right? These kind of forms are referred to as contractive forms or contractions. So, like this was not allowed in your professional emails. Again, in formal reports, also, this kind of language is considered informal, right? So, you never use anything in the contractive forms. You always have to expand it as you write, right? So, I have, we are, or we were, depending on what you wanted to write. You never write it in the short forms. Then second thing is use of less common words. So you use words that are less common. Now, what does that mean? What do you understand from that? What do we mean by using less common words? Are we trying to say that we should keep our language simple, or are we trying to say that uh, you know we should keep our language a bit specialized? So
We
simple
must
or
keep our language
specialized?
specialized.
Yes, right.
Bit
So uh,
bit specialized.
bit specialized, as in to be more specific, you use vocabulary that is suitable uh, for the topic or the purpose at hand, right? You don't. So it's unlike your other formal writing. The language in the report writing has to be more. It's not ordinary. It has to be synthetic, and it has to be more, in tune with the vocabulary of the purpose or the field that you are specialized in, or the field that you want to write about, right? The topic that you want to write about. So. Um, you are allowed to use what we call as technical jargons, right? I think you would be familiar with the word technical jargon, right? So technical jargons are basically a set of specialized words in a given area of study or in an area of or a domain of study, right? So since reports are mostly specialized scientific documents which are written for uh, you know special stakeholders, this is not for public, right? This is not to be put out in the public domain. This is usually a document that you preserve for future activities of your own organization, your own company, or your own sector that you work in. So obviously, this is available to people who are from that area. Hence, using technical jargon or technical vocabulary, terminologies that are common and special to your area or your field of work is recommended. It's highly recommended to be written in that. Okay. So that's on the second one. So less common words means you basically have to use more specialized vocabulary, right? Then the third part, of course, I think this should be clear to you. We discussed on what slangs and colloquialisms are in email writing, right? You should understand what slangs and colloquialism means. So do not use anything that is um, any expressions or any words that are culturally marked, right? So slangs and colloquialisms are full of expressions and words which would be understood by people who only belong to a certain in group or a certain culture. So never use words, especially words that are kinship terms or cultural expressions like friendly terms or terms of addressal, right? All of these you should not use in reports as well because again this is a scientific document, this is a universal document, right? Something that needs to be accessible to people who are not immediately from your milieu also. Hence you keep the language formal and keep it out of informalisms like slangs and colloquialisms. Then stereotypical or biased language, again I think we had a very detailed discussion on what stereotypes and biased language in writing looks like. Remember those points that we discussed based on gender, right? Some of those words like mankind, chairman. Remember that discussion? I don't know how many of you are there in the last session, but anyone who has been there, do you remember this discussion we had on stereotypes and biased language?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, remember? So why mankind is like a loaded term? Why instead you should be using humankind, or why chairman is not the right way to present? There is gender biases. So gender was only one category. Uh, there could be other social categories such as based on class or caste or ethnicity or religion or races, right? So any use of language that is colored or marked. With the social labels that I just discussed, and hence is discriminatory, should be avoided, right? Anything that can cause a bias towards a certain community or a group of people should be actively avoided in all kinds of professions. So that is the fourth point. And then comes shorthand. So shorthand is different from contracted forms. Shorthands are basically, so say for example, I have to say investigation, right? It's a long word, right? So when people are taking notes, particularly in note taking or note making activities, people have a habit of shortening long words. So say for investigation, I write uh, invest dot, right? So, or say for something like um, uh, recommendation, I write reco dot, right? Uh, this is not allowed, okay, in professional writing or particularly in report writing and all forms of professional writing. You do not use this shorthand, right? So no contractions, contractive forms like I and we are and all that, as we discussed in the first point. Also no shorthands, right? Abbreviations, you only use the ones that are universal. Do not coin your own abbreviations. Use only the abbreviations that are universally accepted. Do not have anything done from your side. Okay. So all of this is also part of the language rules that you need to keep in mind. Then comes phrasal verbs. So I think we have visited all of these mostly in the discussion on email writing, right? So even there we discussed that phrasal verbs aren't allowed. Phrasal verbs are usually, a feature of the spoken language, right? Phrasal verbs like say, bring out or look after, uh, come across, right? All of these are also considered quite informal in professional writing. Instead, you should focus on what we call as synthetic verbs, right? What are synthetic verbs? This also we discussed last time. What is synthetic verbs? What does the word synthetic mean anyway?
Ma'am, artificial.
Artificial or something that is in our context, something that is more sophisticated, right? Something that is not natural, sophisticated in the sense something that is more polished and refined, right? Polished and refined. So synthetic verbs basically mean that. So the problem with phrasal verbs are that they're too natural, right? They're used in conversations, spoken language. So that can make your first of all, the problem with phrasal verbs is that some of them are also cultural expressions, right? So in English one, when you were taking that course in the discussion on phrasal verb, one of the things that was pointed out was that phrasal verbs always have idiomatic meanings, right? Idiomatic meanings means what? Non-literal, right? Figurative meanings. In professional writing, however, we cannot afford to have constructions that can have uh, figurative meanings, right? Because it can cause confusion and ambiguity. Phrasal verbs, by the virtue of its possibility of having idiomatic meanings, will create issues, create problems of, uh, you know, comprehension in formal writing. This could be a difficulty for people to understand because of the cultural, flavors that some of these phrasal verbs can carry. Hence, we are, advised to not use phrasal verbs. There are certain phrasal verbs that are considered formal enough to be used. Um you can check it before when you after you have written the draft. Look for these phrasal verbs and see if they are formal enough to be used. If you see an increased use of those verbs in the formal domain, maybe say someone else who wrote a report has used a few of them, you can use them, but do not use them without a proper check, right? Instead, try to use the verbs that are more synthetic in nature. So synthetic verbs, one of the structural quality will be that they won't be a phrasal complex. They will be individual verbs, right? Uh, Examples, I mean, anything could be a synthetic verb. The point here is not about what are synthetic verbs. Synthetic basically refers to the way you use the verb, right? You construct it more formally, sophisticatedly, more in a refined and polished way. Okay, so that is upon the use of phrasal verb. Then the next thing is the third person narrative. So most of the so it's a report, right? So the language mostly is going to use what we call as reported speech. So most of what you're going to read in as language in the report would be a third person narrative. It will always be written from the third person narrative, or also what we call as the God's perspective, right? Don't take it too literally. The word God's perspective basically comes from the understanding that you write it from a neutral perspective, because apparently God is supposed to be neutral. Okay. So the name comes from there. God's perspective writing basically means a neutral, very neutral form of writing. Neutral form of writing in turn means writing that is based on facts, right? Something that is not based on your subjective opinions. It's something that is based on facts. Okay. So reported speech, yes, and then in some reports, not all reports will take passive voice. Some of the reports, like say, if you're writing a scientific report, like a lab report or something, that is not passive, right? So, like you won't say that this many ml of the chemical was poured into this, right? You'll keep it more active in its voice and speech. But some of the other reports, like the study reports, right, the ones that I mentioned, they may carry passive voice, but then we use them based on our purposes. So it's not like it is always going to remain passive, but the point is mostly it would be written in a passive tone, right? The reason being, reports sometimes people are not willing to sometimes you're not yet ready, or you're not allowed to declare uh, the active roles, the agents of the proposed action, right? So if you have clauses like that already mentioned, then you may resort to passive voice writing. Otherwise, based on the reports, based on the context and the purpose of your report, you can choose between active or passive, right? So these are some of the common, not features, I would say, these are some of the common points, important points with regards to the use of language in report concerns. Okay. So we'll take a break now from the, I will take a break from speaking. So I'll lead you to the peer deck slides. So based on what we discussed on the language, we'll do three questions, right? So let's work on that first, and then we can move on to basics of report writing and structure and all that. Okay. So just give me a moment. I'll share that link with you so that you can access the file. Just a moment. That is not student based activity. Okay. So, all the three questions that you have, the first three questions, they're based on how to use languages in report, right? So while you're doing that, please also make a note of how the tense consistency flows in report. So I did not mention anything from the top of what tense and all we use. I just mentioned reported speech, right? So as you, the moment I say reported speech, you should understand what is the tense consistency, but just read through that particular uh, question that you have and tell me what do you observe about the um, tense flow in the report. Okay. So I'm going to take off what happened. Yeah, I'm going to paste the link in the chat here. Please join the class using that link. I'll pin it for in case anybody comes later on. Please join using that link and tell me if you're able to access the slides. Yeah, could you go to the uh, link and see the questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so first one is proposal for location of new facilities in Scotland. Second is proposal for adding to our product range. So if you look at it, even the proposals that you submit, no, there's a, it's not a different category. There are also reports. Sometimes people call it a proposal. So it's one and the same thing. And then you have the third one, proposal for sponsorship of the Winborn Theatre Festival. Okay. So all of these uh, uh, please look at those questions and see there are some spaces left there in uh, the question. See how you can fill them up. So we are just going to do an activity in, how to use language. And while you are doing these questions, also make a note of the tense consistency. See what kind of tense is used in the sentences. Okay. You can start with the first question. You can start writing the answers. Um, I can see your answers, so I'll keep looking for them in the submission box. But how much time do you think you will take to do this? Let's say it is 6. Maybe you can go up to 6:25. I don't think we'll take more than 15 minutes. If you need more, we'll maybe add it. But for now, we'll um, work on these three questions until 6:50. Sorry, 6:25. Okay, 5 minutes each per question should be all right. There's not much to write. It's just basically gap filling.
Ma'am, hello.
Yeah, is there anyone asking a question?
Yes, ma'am. Uh,
Yeah,
Ma'am, we have to fill the words by
yeah, yes, yes. You need to.
by by ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Who else will do it?
It is not given.
Huh?
It is not given.
It is not given. Why do you make it? The first one is mostly like a grammar exercise where they're checking whether you're basic grammar is in place or not. Okay. Are you done with the first question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Yeah. I think you should be moving on to the second now, if you have not already started it. Are you able to see the slides fully in the second one? The last line I think is not visible for you. So that line alone I have sent it to your chat, right? You can take a look at it from for the second question. And for the third question also, I'll do the same. I'll just write down that sentence in your chat. It's actually a copied image, so I cannot make a difference to it. I tried doing that in the backend, but it's not reflecting on the peer text. I'll just leave the sentences here. The last sentence, which is not visible on the slide, I have left in your chat for the second question, and I'll do the same for the third question as well. Should we take range? For the third question also, whichever part is not visible for you, I have written it down in your chat so you can take a look at it there. Are you done with the second question?
No, ma'am.
So all the verbs that you are using to fill in these blanks, these are basically what you call as synthetic verbs, right? Non-phrasal nature. Okay, are you done with the question number 2 at least?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you done, right? Good. Um, okay, it's 6:30, but it's okay. You can finish your uh, exercise. Once you're done with the third question, just give me a thumbs up so that we can discuss it, right? Because I have to discuss two things. I also have to discuss the answers for this, as well as how the language is structured in this. Okay, just let me know once you're done. Okay. How are we doing? Are you guys done or not?
Yes, madam, it's done.
Yeah. Okay. So can we discuss? I think that is enough. If we take more time than that, we're going to be doing that forever, right? So let's look at some of the questions that you have at hand. I'll go through, I'll read through them one by one so that we have some answers for this. So all of these questions, so basically they try to test two things. One is whether you're able to come up with words on your own to write about. So those blanks are mostly an exercise in how to use formal verbs, right? And also the kind of grammatical structures that are commonly seen in this kind of report. So if you have read the reports entirely, you understand. We discussed one point on third person perspective, right, or the God's perspective. So all of this is written in reported speech, and they're also written from the third person point of view. And what do we mean by that? That there is nothing. We don't use personal pronouns as such, right? So you're not using I, we, you kind of pronouns. Most of it is written in the third person narrative, right? So that is clear from all the three questions that you have done. All the three use the same. If you're looking at um, the specifically at the things that you have filled in particularly, I think most of what you filled in, from what I understand, would be either mostly they are verbs, right? There are a few prepositions and conjunctions and all in between, but I think most of what you filled in those blanks are verbs. So whatever verbs you have used here now, these are examples of what we were referring to as synthetic verbs, or formal verbs. So none of them, if you haven't, it's good. But if you have used phrasal verbs, you'll have to change, right? So I'll discuss the answers. I think then you'll understand it better. And then in addition to that, I asked you to look at tense, right? Tense consistency. What kind of tense did you see when you read all the three questions? What is the tense usually followed? Can you
Ma'am,
comment on that?
present.
Yeah,
Ma'am, present.
present tense. Okay, present tense and anything else? So present tense, basically because you're presenting facts, right? Most of it are matter of fact sentences. And we know that if we have to present matter of fact sentences, and if we have to talk about general truths, we use present tense. So yes, present tense is very commonly seen in the uh, write-up. And then what else do you see? What other structures do you see? So I'll also make a note of that. So simple present tense is used. What other forms did you see? With respect to tense, okay, not others. Just tense. So simple present tense and then anything else. The second, and the third, you can look at all the three. You just don't have to look at just one of them. Look at all the three and tell me.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
present perfect continuous.
present perfect continuous. Okay,
Yes,
where did you see that?
ma'am. Last slide.
Last question. Was it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Last.
let's check that. Hmm. Can you indicate the blank where you saw that? I see another structure which is constantly repeating, which is the ing form, right? Hiring, sponsoring, uh,
Ma'am, there is
sponsoring the
continuous
festivities.
and present perfect tense.
There is present perfect tense, yes. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Present perfect tense. You're right. Where is the present perfect continuous? I'm still looking for it.
No, ma'am, it's present perfect.
You meant present perfect. Okay. All right. Right. So mostly if you look at all the three questions, right, there are two types of tenses, or the tense consistency is moving or oscillating mostly along two. One is the simple present tense, which is when they want to state something, right? So mostly for recommendations and all of those kind of things, the kind of tense that you use is present tense mostly, right? And then the second tense that you see is present perfect tense. So, when do you see present perfect tense? What is the use of present perfect tense in general? When is it used mostly? Is my question. So you want to refer to something that is, if you look at grammatically, you usually use present perfect tense when you want to refer to something that has happened in the recent past, right? But here, that is not the purpose. The use of present perfect is not connected to that. Any comment on this? Because you've read the three questions now, so what do you understand from that? What purpose is it serving? There should be a reason why we are using it. So if I'm to analyze where the present simple is, you can do this on your own, but let me give you like a breakup for that, right? So if you look at, you told me two things, right? You told me present simple is used and present perfect is used. So if you look at the questions closely, if you read the sentences again, you will see certain uses where you see the present simple. Where in the report has this kind of tense been used? So obviously the first thing is when you want to state facts and some kind of permanent matter of fact situations. Like look at sentences like property prices appear to be lower in Glasgow. Our company produces accounting software. So these are all what matter of fact, stating facts and permanent situations kind of. Then this is also simple present is also used when you are describing some current practices or policies, right? Like for example, the which is, what is that one? The programming department employs 6 engineers. Okay, current practices and policies. So anything that is current is general truth, is a matter of fact. All of that is going to use whenever you want to write something like that in a report, simple present tense. Then, of course, like I mentioned, when you're giving recommendation, right? Recommendations have to be always in present, simple present. Facts, descriptions, recommendations, and any ongoing, current situation will be expressed in simple present tense. So, what about present perfect in reports? When do we use it? When you are, if I have to take out examples from the questions that we had, look at this. Feedback has shown that we are achieving high levels of customer satisfaction. Where is that sentence? The third one, right? Third question. Feedback has shown, right? So what does this tell us? Feedbacks has shown that we are achieving high levels of customer satisfaction. When you are highlighting an experience, okay, an experience or an achievement, usually in the reports we use the present perfect form. Then if you're talking about something that is a recent development, right, which has some impact, see, it still follows the grammatical um, uh, you know, uh, situation where you use present perfect, which is to refer to actions or any processes that has started in the past and is still relevant at the time of speaking. We are still following that only, but we are just adding categories which can fit that grammatical explanation. So when you're talking about, say, some experience or achievement, it cannot be something that you have when you, especially when you're writing it in a report or a proposal, it cannot be something that has happened sometime in the remote past, right? It has to be something that has happened in the recent past to even count as experience or achievement. So in that kind of sentences, then you use the present perfect tense. And then the second situation is when we are talking about, of course, recent developments, which has had some significant impact, what you're doing right now, which you think will have an impact in the present, right? So anything that is relevant in the present and has started in the past, any recent achievement, any recent development, any experience in the recent past which has relevance or impact in the present, all such category sentences will take up present perfect, right? So this is what if you look closely, very minutely, very closely at the language of the report, these are some of the things that you can highlight, right? So as far as tense is concerned, then both simple present tense and present perfect tense are both very prominently used in the reports, right? Okay, so let's now look at the answers to the questions that you've had. So what answer did you write for the first one? I cannot move this slide. Just a second. Yeah, the first one. So that is the purpose of this proposal is to compare Edinburgh and Glasgow as possible locations. For I'll just read out the answers that I have. So if you have any deviations, you can let me know. Okay, for BioBox new R&D facility in Scotland, and to recommend which city we should choose. Okay. Although Glasgow has the largest number of students in Scotland, I suggest that we should recruit people who are already employed in the sector. And many of the best scientists are in the Edinburgh region. Property prices appear to be lower in Glasgow. However, it would be a good idea to try to find suitable premises in the Edinburgh area. So you can either say as or because or since it contains a science triangle with anything that, a word that is suitable to give reason should be okay. Science triangle with purpose built laboratories. Also, the science triangle encourages the cooperation and knowledge sharing we need. Glasgow has a dynamic and exciting lifestyle with many cultural events. On the other hand, Edinburgh is one of the cities with the highest quality of life in the UK. This will help us to attract staff to live and work there. Recommended course of action, I strongly recommend that we choose Edinburgh for the reasons given above. Okay. Are we okay with most of the answers, or any confusions there?
Ma'am, for second and third option, can you please repeat?
What did you answer to tell me that?
Ma'am, for second, I have chosen one, and for third, the.
Third, the answer is the only. I said the second one city we should have to recommend one city. No. So recommend the structure of the sentence tells us that we have to use a word which can signal towards an alternative. Sorry, a choice or an option. So one, I don't think will fit there. To recommend one city, we should fix. You either write. You can even write the. You can write possible locations for BioBox new R&D facility in Scotland, and to recommend the city we should choose. So either you write the or you write which. One city will not give the entire meaning properly. But third one, the is correct only. I also said the largest. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then the second question, the aim of this proposal is to now there could be several answers possible in the blanks here, especially because we are going to fill in with verbs. So as long as your verb semantically and meaning wise fits there properly, it should be fine. Okay. So the aim of this proposal is to suggest new products we could add to our existing product range, and to consider ways or explore ways in which the products could be developed. What answers have you written?
Ma'am, for first, find.
And to find ways in which the products could be developed. Consider, find, execute, and to find ways. Okay, fine. Other answers? Anybody else?
I too have written fine.
You have written find. Okay, yeah, find is fine. You could write explore, you could write consider, all of them works. Okay. Then our current product range at the moment, our company produces accounting software for small retail outlets. The purpose of which is to take managers of small businesses dash the process of producing legally acceptable accounts, setup, step while so on and so forth. What answer did you write?
Assist with.
Sorry?
Assist with.
To take managers of small businesses, purpose of which is to take managers of small business assist with. No, that doesn't sound right. So this is basically what they have done is they've used the formal phrasal verb and they have it's a separable phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is take through, right? So instead of writing take, take through the managers of small business, they've broken it and written as take managers of small businesses through. So answer is through. Take managers of small businesses through the process of reducing legally acceptable imports. Then the need for new products. While we know from the feedback that we are achieving high levels of customer dash with our existing products, we have to recognize that we operate in a dynamic and swiftly changing market. Yeah, this is easy, right? What answers did you write? Customer
Satisfaction.
satisfaction. Yes. Yeah. Customer satisfaction. That's right. Then
Ma'am,
furthermore, yeah, sorry.
ma'am, and get satisfied.
High levels of no, and get satisfied, it doesn't fit grammatically well there, right? You
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
use
Yes,
something that is a noun. Okay. And swiftly changing market. Furthermore, more extensive market research among our clients has uncovered a dash for compatible software to perform stock control and ordering functions. So you could either write a need or you could write a requirement, anything that borders along that line you can write. Need, requirement, etc. Then our
ma'am,
programming
for fourth,
department,
for fourth option, you are saying.
yes, for fourth one.
I have written fact.
Uncovered a fact for no, that is wrong. Read the sentence again. It will not make sense if you write fact. You can say uncovered a need for compatible software or a requirement for compatible software to perform stock control and ordering functions. Please read the sentences carefully before you supply the word. Then our programming department dash employs 6 systems engineers and produces regular updates for existing products while dash them to suit individual clients. Our programming department dash employs 6 systems engineers and produces regular updates for existing products while dash them to suit individual clients. What did you write? What are your answers? Tell me for 5 and 6.
Well, for 5, I have used currently and 6 customizing.
Okay, currently is correct for fifth one. Currently employs 6 systems engineers and produces regular updates for existing products. While sixth one, what did you say? Customized.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think customize is okay, but customized, you have to change the tense. Uh, you have to write while customizes them to suit individual clients. Right? Because customized will mean that things have already been done. So tense is wrong, but I think the word is okay. So you could either write customizes. I think what I have written is adapts. So adapt or customize both should be okay. While customizes them to suit individual clients. Yeah, that's fine. Any other answers? Okay. So although 2 engineers could be assigned to the development of new programs, it would probably be necessary to recruit 2 further engineers for the new project team. This in turn would give rise to higher overheads and other costs, particularly for salaries and equipment. I envisage that the Dash project will take 18 months, but at the end of that period will generate profits which will justify the Dash. So seventh blank,
New.
the new project or the whole project or the entire project, anything, right? So either you write new, that will be a different kind of a usage, and if you write entire and whole also, it will fit the narrative. It won't be wrong. So new, whole, entire, everything is fine. Then the eighth blank will justify the
Costs.
you can say what is it? Sorry.
Costs.
Cost. Okay. Yes, I was expecting you to give that answer. So cost is fine. That's correct answer. It's not wrong. But if you look at the language that the report is using, right, you'll see that it's a little sophisticated. So what you can do is you can look for a little. It's not wrong. The word cost is fine to deal with, but you can look for a little more refined version of that. Something that is more. I told you use technical vocabulary, right? So maybe use something that is more suitable for what you're writing. So something like say investment, justify the capital cost or justify the investment, something like that you can write in this. Okay, so other costs, apart from the recruitment requirements mentioned above, the only extra cost I have identified in connection with this project is a requirement for extra office dash to accommodate the project team. Since the new products are being developed in response to demand from our existing clients, I do not foresee extra marketing costs at this stage. So ninth blank would be extra office dash to accommodate.
Space.
Extra office space, yes, correct. Extra office space. Okay. Extra office space to accommodate the project. Then the last one, I have to look at the chat. That part is hidden. I therefore recommend that we dash with this project as soon as, yeah, this is easy, with this project as soon as it is convenient. What are your answers?
Start.
Continue. Start with this project, okay. Commence, but then start with this would be fine. Commence would be wrong because you don't say commence with this. You can also see proceed or continue, right? Continue with this project or proceed with this project as soon as it's convenient. Okay, right. Now the third question, quickly discuss that as well. Um, yeah, proposal for sponsorship of the Wemborn Theatre Festival. So Fendera International has been approached by the organizers of the Wemborn Theatre Festival with a view to our sponsoring that is already answered. The view to our sponsoring the festival next July. The purpose of this proposal is dash the benefits and feasibility of dash. So what did you answer this as? So here I think it's easy because the words are already given in the bracket. You just have to write the right forms. Then what did you write? The purpose of this proposal is dash examine. To examine, right? Yeah. To examine the benefits and feasibility of dash so.
Doing so.
Doing so. So this is again something that while we were discussing that tense consistency, uh, so tense we saw that structurally the tense is either simple present tense or present perfect tense. We also looked at what are the instances where these two are used. Now, in addition to these, there are two prominent grammatical structures you see. One is the ing form and the to plus the to infinitive form of the verb, right? So to examine, to produce, to investigate. You'll see this also a lot in reports, right? So both those structures, the ing structures sponsoring the festival and the two infinitive forms, that's also going to be very common. to examine the benefits and feasibility of doing so. Okay, then second one, the benefits section. The festival is a high-profile event dedicated to dash promote the work of promising young writers and actors.
Promote.
To promote, yeah, to promote. So promote, you will repeat. To promote the work of promising young writers and actors. Again, a to infinitive structure. It attracts a wide range of audience from all over the region, while the national media tend dash give it wide and favorable coverage.
To give.
While the national media tend to give it,
Yes.
okay, while the national media tends, it actually should be tends, yeah. Tends to give it wide and favorable coverage, yes, okay. Then by dash the festival, we will improve our image as a company which participates in the local community and gives opportunities to talented and creative young people.
By backing.
Sorry, what is it?
Backing.
Backing, yeah, by backing the festival, right? By backing the festival, we will improve our images, so on and so forth. Then seventh one, dash sponsor. The festival would be relatively economical.
Sponsoring.
Sponsoring the festival would be relatively economical. The festival organizers have budgeted for costs of approximately 30,000 pounds. These costs include dash the theatre, actors' wages, publicity, and miscellaneous running costs. Costs include hire. What form?
Hiring.
Hiring the theatre, right? Hiring the theatre act. Then a breakdown of their projected income reveals that they expect dash approximately 15,000 pounds from ticket sales and 5,000 pounds from advertising.
To receive.
To receive, they expect to receive approximately 15,000 pounds from ticket sales and so forth. Then dash the deficit. They would therefore require us to invest a total of 10,000 pounds.
Covering.
Covering. Is it covering or to cover? To cover, right? To cover the deficit, they would require us to invest a total of 10,000, right? Okay. Then, in return for our investment, Wimbon would undertake dash our name and logo on all their publicity material and theatre programs.
To include.
Sorry, what is it? Would undertake dash our
To.
name and logo to include.
Yes.
Would undertake to include our name and logo. Okay. 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 Our logo would also appear at locations dash in the theater itself.
To be agreed.
To be agreeing, no. Our logo would also appear at locations. What have others written? Other answers? No, no one has written anything else.
No, ma'am.
Huh?
No, ma'am.
No. No answer you have written for that. Okay. Anybody else? Any other answers? Where? I cannot find the. Can you see the slide still?
No, ma'am.
You can't
Question
see
is
it,
not
right?
visible. Yes, ma'am.
Question is not visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is it? Is it not visible to anybody?
It is visible now.
It is visible. Oh, okay. I can see it now. I could momentarily not see it, but now I can see it. So our God, where is it? Our logo would also appear at locations dash. Our logo would also appear at locations dash be agreed. So I am suspecting it to have a continuous form, but let's see. Read in the theater itself. So your answers were what? To agree.
Yes, ma'am, to be agreed.
To be agreed. Okay. Let's see what is the answer. Actually, I'm also a little confused with the answer to that blank. Our logo would also appear at locations dash in the theater itself. Be agreed. Okay. I don't know what that B is doing there. That is creating confusions for me. But I think the best catch we'll have is our logo would also appear at locations agreed upon in the theater itself or something, right? So you can fill it up like that. Agreed upon is, I think, the best suited version. That B, I do not know what has that been supplied for, or at least I'm not able to find answer to that. Agreed upon should be a good option to write, okay? Right, and then the last one here, I recommend that we should go. That is in the chat. Yes, I recommend that we should agree dash fund this festival because it represents a relatively low cost opportunity. Agree what is the blank there? To fund, right? To fund this festival because it represents a relatively low cost opportunity. Dash our image both locally and nationally. What is the answer?
To enhance.
To enhance. Yeah, that also will be to enhance. Then what is more, it is possible dash our sponsorship against tax and it therefore represents a relatively economical marketing activity. What will be the answer again? To offset, right? To offset our sponsorship against tax. So a lot of repetitive structures with two infinitives and ing. So that is also in addition to the present tense and the present perfect tense. With respect to use of language, we'll have the ing forms and the two infinitives being abundantly used, plus of course the synthetic verbs. Right? So that is what most of the proposal reports will look like. Okay, so we'll come back to the PPT for a while. So what I'll do is I will talk to you about the basics of report writing. Maybe I think this, and then we can discuss a little bit. I don't think I will take up the structure of the report today because it's a longer version. So what I can do is I'll do this one tomorrow, right, for tomorrow's session so that we have longer time. So maybe half an hour or so I can talk about this and then show you some examples. And then I'll give you two writing activities. Okay, both reports under 200 words. Okay, 140, 160 words. So you will have longer time to write it tomorrow. So structure for report I'll take up tomorrow. For today's class, I'll wind up with the basics of report writing. So we already discussed the language element and what is the checkbox that you need to have in the elements part, right? So description, the elements of a report will include all of this, the description, reference, the evaluation of facts results, then likely outcomes, recommendations, and conclusions. In the basics of report writing, broadly, we categorize 4 sections, right? There should be at least 4 sections for any basic report that you write, right? In the structure of report, which we discuss tomorrow, we'll be looking at a detailed, process and step and procedure in writing it. But if you're writing say a simple report, a short report or a summary report or a feasibility report, then these 4 segments, these 4 areas needs to be broadly included in your report. So these are basically different sections of a report, right? Overview, background, discussion, and conclusion. So whatever type of reports you write, these 4 broader classification, this 4 broader sections needs to be included in your report. Okay. The detailed part, how it works for longer, more comprehensive reports, that we'll discuss too. But in any other reports, whatever long or short format it is, please ensure that you have these 4 broader sections. So first is overview. Now, overview, what do you include? What is the kind of content or details that you include in the overview section? You talk about what this report is about. So you declare the purpose, right? You tell the audience about what this report is, what the topic of the report is. Or if you have questions that you're exploring, then you have to tell what are the questions that are being explored in the report and what are the questions you're trying to answer. Basically, tell them what is the problem statement. That's it. Okay. Then purpose, features of the report, what is it? So all of these things, right? What questions will you explore? What are your main conclusions? Not the details of the conclusion, but what are those main conclusion? Maybe one or 2 points has to be included in the overview section. And recommendations, again, it's not compulsory, but if you have any major recommendations that you have suggested, then you can include. In the overview, even if you skip the recommendation part, that's also fine. But what you cannot absolutely skip are the purpose, the important features and the state and the conclusion, main conclusions of the report that you have written, right? So the overview needs to cover these 3 things at least. Recommendations you can decide. If you think you have a major thing to supply, then you do. Otherwise, you can skip that. Okay. Then comes background, right? The second section, once you've done with the overview, the second section that you need to write in any report would be the background. So you introduce the subject that you're going to, so this is particularly where you're going to narrate your problem statement, right? You'll explain what your problem statement is, what is the background of that problem, what has been done till now, what are you planning to do, what is your approach to the problem, how you're planning to solve it, etc. The very short background of that needs to be presented in the background section, right? Introduce the subject and also put the reason to write the report, why you're doing it, right? So if the overview section answers the question what, then the background answers the question why. Okay? Why and how did you reach there? Sorry, why mostly, right? Why? What's the reason behind you writing this particular report? Discussion, that is the third section. And the third section basically answers the question how, right? How. So it presents the findings through whatever methods that you've used, usually in the form of facts, argument details, data, and results. Right, everything will be included here, and it includes findings and results, which answers how you have reached the conclusions that you have reached. Right. So overview answers the question what, then we answer the question what, and then background answers the question of why, right? Discussion answers the question how was it done. Okay. Then conclusions would give you the first. It will briefly state whatever you have derived from your results and findings. Okay. What are the major points that you have drawn through the discussion section and the finding sections? Okay. Remember, when you're writing the conclusion, write the main conclusion first. So you'll have a set of conclusions. Your study probably will provide you a set of conclusions. And if that is the case, then make sure that you write your main conclusions first. Okay? and then write the rest of them in the decreasing order of importance. That is how you arrange the conclusion. So this is more or less how you're going to write a report, short report or long report. If you don't have any other structure provided, this is the structure that you're going to use for a basic report, right? So you ensure that there's an overview section, you ensure there's a background section, then it's followed by a discussion, followed by conclusions. But if you're writing a longer report, which is based on a longitudinal study, if it is based on a more significant research, proposal or study, then you will have to follow a more detailed structure and format, which is what we'll discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay, so this particular format that we use is for reports that are long format reports that are based on longitudinal long studies. And this one you can use for anything where the template or the format is not specifically mentioned, or something that is of a short format, or something that runs through say 3 or 4 pages or something. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. And because if I start the structure of report today, I won't be able to finish it. So tomorrow we'll start afresh. Maybe half an hour we'll do it, and then you can move on to the remaining questions that you saw in the, if you have already seen. There are 2 more questions, right? Both of those questions are to actually write down the report. So those questions we'll take up tomorrow after we have discussed the structure of the report, right? So 2 things for tomorrow. One is this structure of the report and also certain types of reports. Okay. I'll conclude both of this in maybe the first 30 to 35 minutes, and then you can start working on the questions in the next. Okay. So thank you so much for joining in. We'll stop for today, and I'll meet you all again tomorrow. Any questions
ma'am.
meanwhile? You may ask. Otherwise, we'll.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, when I was directing to the link that you have given, I was not able to ask anything or reply anything.
As in, when you are working on those questions, you are not able to uh, talk in the session. Is this what
Yes,
you meant?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. That shouldn't be the case. I don't know why should that be a problem. Because are you? What are you using to attend the session? Are you on the laptop or are you using a phone?
Ma'am, at mobile phone I'm using
So that
right now.
probably be because it's a little difficult to navigate multiple tabs on the phone, right? So probably because of that. Try to log in through your computer. I mean your laptop or desktop if you have. I think it should be
Yes,
better. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay.
Please try that. Okay. All right. I'll see you tomorrow then.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.